Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. We're taking a look here at Unifi, seeing what's going on. I get the request for this one pretty much daily. What in the heck is happening? Why does it keep going up? A lot of folks are shorting. We even shorted as a community and had to close our position yesterday because it just got out of control. So ultimately, situations like these, you got to learn to cut your losses. I talk a lot about that in my private trading academy videos. If you're part of our community, of course, you'd know that. You probably hopefully have watched that already. If not, be sure to familiarize yourself with chapter 7, I think it is. So anyways, what I'm getting at here is that it's going to continue until it doesn't, right? That's just really how trends work. And what we want to look at is some overextension, see if this is potentially overextended. Interesting thing about this is that it continues to go up, but it doesn't fully overextend itself. And I'll talk about that here in a moment. But what I'm getting at here is that there are some fair value gaps that, of course, have already been filled. There is some liquidity at previous levels. So what we want to look at is honestly some key level resistances and see and identify if those are going to be holding moving forward. We're coming up close to one right now, and I think that we're in a position where a pullback would make sense. But once more, be surprised this coin continues to grow. All right, so if you're new to the channel, I love teaching people to trade. Hope you can learn something here today. Obviously, you want to become a better trader. CryptoCash.tech is the website. Link down below if you want to become, just part of something better. We got an awesome Discord, awesome community here as well. Congrats again to our community members. We took some nice scalps last night when I was sleeping, of course. This is my automated trading bot for XRP and Litecoin, both about 9% there in that regard. Then yesterday too, oh man, some healthy, awesome stuff. We got some, 15% from ApeCoin, Bitcoin 32%, Ethereum Classic 24%, Matic 27%. Those are all profit targets 1 and 2, with a lot of profit left to be taken. Okay, so don't think for any second that those alts are completely done pumping. I feel like Bitcoin's going to sustain itself at the 27,000 range or possibly the upper 26 range. And I think we're going to be able to see a little bit more upside from Bitcoin, and that should allow for these altcoins to surge as Bitcoin dominance continues to remain stable. All right, we'll talk about that if you need to, or actually I talked about that in my previous video. I cover Bitcoin daily. Be sure to check that out. All right, so enough preface here. Let's go ahead and talk about what we're looking at here so far. So I drew this line here when I was chatting earlier about just basically the main reason why is because there's a candlestick closure a few days in a row where we saw about 5 or 6 days. The price wicked up, it could not cross that level. So 695 has been established as a previous strong resistance level, okay? Now resistance levels can be broken, which we've seen recently because a lot of these fair value gaps and just previous resistances have been shattered. So what's to stop it from continuing through this? Well, usually the first time you test a level like that, it'll pull back. So obviously we see that here. It wicked up to 690, pretty much the same level. And it's one of those situations where we can expect the price action to likely have some struggle and some difficulty here, at least initially. All right, we need to accumulate a lot more volume in that range. Speaking of volume, let's take a look at the most amount of volume we have so far. It's all aggregated right here at about 520. So 520 is going to be a new support level. So coincidentally, that's right there just below the bottom of that fair value gap. So there's potential for this fair value gap between 520 and 550 to get filled, okay? Now that'd be a heck of a short to go from there to there, a nice 20%. That's 240% if you are 20x long, or short rather. So if that is the case, be careful, be cautious. I recommend low leverage, low position size at all possible. But the bottom line here is with that volume profile there, with the most amount of volume there, telling us that there's going to be some support if the price comes back to that range. That's all I'm saying. And oftentimes volume does have a tendency of gravitating the price towards it too. So that could very well be the next target, you could say. Now, I'm not saying you should short from 690 to 520, but hypothetically, that would be a pretty epic short. All right. That being said, daily here, let's look at some moving averages, see if we can identify any trends. We got this ascending trend here working so far upwards, so we'll go ahead and pull that out. Kind of see that we can tell that there's some levels that continue to be hit. We're above the 20-day, 200, and the 50, whereas the 20 is establishing itself as an assigned trend. So oftentimes you'll see that 20-day SMA working itself concurrent with trend lines. So the bottom line here is that we could even pull this out here and kind of just run it concurrent with that trend and just kind of identify that that's roughly where we want to kind of see the price continue. In other words, if we break below that, a lot of times it'll work as a resistance. And for example, it could push the price action down eventually. Okay, so I do think eventually this coin will rectify itself. It's literally one of the few coins in the market right now not having a red day. It's done this for like 3 or 4 days straight. Honestly, it got kind of annoying. I'm so glad we pulled out of that position because it was really just frustrating to see it keep going up and up and up, and everything else is just bleeding like crazy. So Unifi knows something we don't, right? So I'm sure there's some fundamentals there. If you got knowledge, drop it down below in the comments. We'd like to learn. But generally speaking, right now, this ascending trend is working, okay? So no need to break it if it isn't, no need to fix it if it isn't broken, right? So we can assume the price will continue higher based on that sentiment. Now, we're coming here into a situation where we're above. Let's go ahead and remove the stochastic just to kind of get perspective here on the RSI. We can see we've retested this level multiple times. So as the price continues up, we can see, of course, we continue to retest these levels here. So good news is we tend to plateau at about 75 RSI. So if history repeats itself, we should see the price pull back here because it's becoming overextended once more. Now you can only you can only stay above 70 on the RSI for so long. At this point right now, it would make sense for the price to pull back, okay? Anytime it's done so, look, it's hit this level, right? Where we had 3 or 4 massive candle wicks, price rejects, comes back down. 2 to 3 candle wicks, comes down, and of course, so far, our very first test of that same level. So statistically, even though the price is going up, we should see somewhat of a correction here, albeit maybe a minor correction of the most recent high. It'll probably just continue to aggregate itself or average itself out right there, okay? So again, overall, still bullish, no reason to bet against it, but it is looking statistically more probable for the price action to pull back just based on how many times it's overextended itself here recently. Speaking of overextension, let's take a quick look here. We're only at a 3, and we were previously at a 6, so these continuations will not stop until you typically hit an overextended state. And with us being at a 3, hypothetically, we could see 6 more days of bullish continuation. I think that's less likely with this resistance level here, but still a possibility, okay? If it can happen, it will happen in crypto. That's just the way it goes, all right? And again, so sorry to anyone who has been trying to short this coin. It's a difficult, interesting situation here. All right, that being said, 4-hour time frame, what do we look at here? Well, let's pull up some fibs here and kind of see if the price were to pull back, how low could it go? And we can kind of see here, 0.5, as per usual, is going to be the normal destination. So hypothetically, if you're to short, a good target would be 608 and or 583. Because these are 2 Fibonacci retracement levels that are commonly retraced to. Now, again, there's no guarantees it's going to do that. As you can tell, recent past has proven it wants to continue higher. So the bottom line here is that we want to look at a few other things to see, and we're still above all moving averages here too. Okay, so until we start breaking below any type of moving averages, we really have no reason to want to consider shorting this coin. So again, all the more reason to just respect this trend and understand that until we break below this trend line, we're going to expect it to continue higher. We can see the MACD is still converging while we're up over 70 on the RSI. We are seeing a little bit of light of day here, actually. This is a second divergence here from stochastic. That is typically a case in point where you would want to consider a short. Let me give you an example here. If you look back here, we can see we hit two double tops here basically. And when the price action finally hit that second one, it was able to kind of go sideways and down a little bit, albeit not very much. It didn't like massively drop, but the key takeaway here is that when you see this double top, so to speak, on stochastics, this is the second one, there's probability the price is hitting its resistance level and could work its way down. Because I don't think it's going to be a massive drop, just the way that this coin is behaving, but I think it's statistically more probable for the price to pull back at least a little bit in the immediate foreseeable future, okay? So that is kind of what we're looking at. I would say if you're going to have a target, take some profits right around the 640 range, because once more, this coin will continue to surprise you, as it has so far. All right, so last but not least, let's go ahead and take a look at the hourly. Once again, above all moving averages, big surprise there. TD sequential, we did get overextended here recently when we wicked all the way up to that highest point of 690. Okay, but if we look at its history, anytime it hits a 9, it'll go sideways, try again, and then eventually fizzle out a little bit, okay? So we're here, overextended, we're gonna probably try again, and then it'll probably come back down to this range. Okay? So I would expect the price to try to break through that level first and then come back down. It's commonly doing this here. Every time you think it's gonna be plateaued, it'll reach up and try again. Plateau, reach again, plateau, reach again. So it's consistently doing these extra little pushes there to do a liquidity sweep, and then it'll turn itself around. We saw this previous liquidity here where it hit it twice and blasted through. It would make sense for it to come back down to this range, but once more, I would be surprised if it even does that. All right, so that's kind of where we're at there. I know it seems like there's no answer here, which is in truth a lot of how trading goes, right? We have identified that we are in an ascending trend. Until it breaks, we want to assume the price is going to go up. But we can also identify here that it continues to do, that repeats certain behaviors here, and that there's more likelihood of the price retesting this 640/610 before it shoots up. I do think we could very well see the price retest or retry the $7 range and then come back down. But once more, this coin is very frustrating to trade right now. I honestly would just leave it alone. If you're in a long position, let it ride, honestly. Continue to adjust your stop loss higher just to ensure you take profits. But the bottom line here is that this coin is here to stay, and regardless of Bitcoin, take a look at this here. This is what Bitcoin's doing. And this is what Unifi is doing. It does not give a crap about Bitcoin. Although it does wick up here, right? We saw this nice candle wick when Bitcoin took off, and then it just continued up as Bitcoin continues down. Interesting behavior. It's almost inversely paired right now. So my thoughts is if Bitcoin goes up, Unifi should go down, but it hasn't done that yet. Keep in mind, we're moving into a resistance range there at $7. It could change the narrative there. So I'm excited to see this coin drop. I don't know, just kind of when you have to close out of a short position, oftentimes you feel like resentful when it continues in the same direction. But either way, there's no feelings attached to it. It's just the way it goes. Trading is trading, and just the way kind of the cookie crumbles, right? So again, use good risk tolerance, use good risk management, and for the last time, make sure that you are using low leverage, low position size. Try not to trust all those awesome traders that are trading at 200x or 100x and sharing only their gains. They're hiding their losses for a reason, because it takes a lot of attempts to be able to maximize your benefit in a trade like that. Okay, so just keep in mind, careful what you're who you're following and who you're watching, because honestly, it's just one of those things where it's an unfortunate market the way that people can manipulate you. Okay. All right. Anyways, conversation for another day. I hope you learned something here today. Thanks again for joining me. If you can, help us grow our Discord and jump on over there. It's a free group. A lot of fun. We have a great time. Looking forward to working with you. Have yourself a great rest of your day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.